Hello everyone, welcome back to the Global Alert TV channel. Please subscribe and like my videos because your support truly means a lot and keeps us motivated to bring you the latest, most authentic, and in-depth updates from around the world. Today's story is not just another headline, it's a moment that reflects pain, hope, and the complex human side of war. Ukraine has brought home 185 soldiers and 20 civilians in a massive prisoner swap with Russia. It's one of the largest exchanges between the two nations since the war began, and it speaks volumes about the emotional, political, and humanitarian layers of this ongoing conflict. This latest exchange marks a rare moment of cooperation in a war defined by devastation, loss, and mistrust. For months, families of soldiers on both sides have been living with uncertainty, waiting for news of their loved ones. When the news broke that 185 Ukrainian soldiers and 20 civilians were being released from Russian captivity, the atmosphere across Ukraine shifted, at least for a while, from fear to relief. Emotional videos surfaced showing mothers, wives, and children running into the arms of soldiers who looked weary but alive. Many of these soldiers had been held for months, some even over a year, and their faces told the story of what they had endured: exhaustion, trauma, and resilience. The exchange reportedly took place through the mediation of international humanitarian organizations and with indirect support from countries like Turkey and the United Arab Emirates. The process itself was carefully coordinated, involving days of verification, logistics, and security arrangements. Both sides handed over lists of names, confirmed identities, and prepared the necessary transportation. What makes this event stand out is that it wasn't just military personnel being released. The inclusion of 20 civilians shows an effort, however limited, to acknowledge the humanitarian cost of the war. Some of these civilians had been detained under unclear circumstances, accused of aiding the enemy, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or simply caught in the chaos of battle zones. Their release brought tears and hope to many Ukrainians who continued to demand the safe return of thousands still in captivity. When we talk about the safety features of this prisoner exchange, it's not about technology or machinery but about the delicate framework of diplomacy that ensures no violence occurs during the transfer. In a situation where mistrust runs deep, both sides had to set up secure zones monitored by neutral observers. Safety corridors were established so that the swap could happen without gunfire or drone interference. Soldiers were medically examined before and after the handover, ensuring they were in a condition fit to travel. International Red Cross officials played a crucial role here, guaranteeing transparency and documentation at every step. For Ukraine, this exchange was more than a tactical success, it was a moral one, proving to its people that even in a war filled with tragedy, humanity can still prevail. The images released after the exchange showed buses filled with tired faces, many bandaged or walking with crutches, waving weakly at the cameras. Medical personnel were waiting to receive them, and psychological support teams were ready for what would follow. You see, the trauma these men and women carry doesn't end with freedom. Many have been tortured, isolated, and starved. Their return is only the beginning of another battle, a mental and emotional one. Ukraine's Ministry of Reintegration has developed programs to help rehabilitate former prisoners of war, offering counseling, housing, and health care. The goal is to help them reintegrate into society, find work, and rebuild their lives. On the Russian side, the narrative is similar but more subdued. Russia received its captured soldiers in exchange, and its state media framed the event as an example of Moscow's commitment to bringing its people home. The Kremlin emphasized that such swaps are a sign of its strength and compassion, even though the reality is far more complicated. Analysts say these exchanges are not acts of goodwill but carefully calculated decisions based on political leverage. Each side uses these prisoners as bargaining chips, symbols of resilience and propaganda tools for domestic audiences. Yet, regardless of the political motives, the human outcome remains deeply emotional and real. This prisoner swap also sheds light on the unique selling points of Ukraine's diplomatic and humanitarian approach in the face of war. Ukraine has consistently tried to project itself not just as a nation defending its borders, but as one defending human values and international law. Its ability to negotiate and secure the release of its citizens underlines the government's commitment to its people. President Volodymyr Zelensky personally confirmed the release and made an emotional address thanking the negotiation teams, the armed forces, and the mediators who made it possible. He described it as a day of joy amidst the storm of pain, reinforcing Ukraine's image as a nation that, despite suffering, still believes in compassion and unity. The public reaction across Ukraine was overwhelming. Streets were filled with celebrations, and social media was flooded with videos and messages welcoming the soldiers home. Each returning prisoner carried a story of endurance, from sleeping in freezing cells to surviving on minimal food, to watching their comrades fall ill and die. Some soldiers spoke briefly to the press, expressing gratitude to the Ukrainian people for not giving up on them. One soldier said, "I thought I'd never see my mother again. Today, I'm alive because my country refused to forget me." These moments cut through the noise of politics and remind the world of the human soul behind the headlines. Economically and politically, such events also have an impact. For Ukraine, the timing of this swap comes at a critical juncture. As Western allies debate continued support, showing tangible humanitarian victories strengthens Ukraine's moral standing. It reminds global audiences that this is not merely a territorial conflict but a fight for human dignity. For Russia, the exchange allows it to display that it still has negotiation power, that despite global isolation, it can engage on humanitarian grounds. Both sides, in a way, win something, though for entirely different reasons. If we think of this story as a kind of price, not in monetary terms, but in the cost of human suffering, it becomes clear that each prisoner exchange carries a weight that cannot be measured. Families pay with months of anxiety, soldiers pay with their health, and nations pay with pieces of their humanity. The price of freedom in this war is written not in numbers, but in scars. Ukraine's government has said it will continue pushing for more exchanges until every citizen is home. However, these negotiations are delicate, often stalled by political tension, and depend heavily on third-party mediation. The hope now is that the success of this exchange could open doors for larger humanitarian efforts, including the return of bodies of those who perished in the exchange of medical supplies for captured soldiers. The larger question remains, can prisoner swaps like this one pave the way for a broader peace dialogue? History tells us that such humanitarian gestures often create brief openings for diplomacy. Yet in the current climate, both Kyiv and Moscow remain deeply entrenched in their goals. Still, it's these small acts, moments when both sides momentarily remember their shared humanity, that remind us peace is not an illusion, but a possibility waiting to be nurtured. As the soldiers reunite with their families, the world watches with mixed emotions, relief for those who returned, sorrow for those still missing, and uncertainty about what comes next. Ukraine's people have shown time and again that they are resilient beyond measure. They have endured bombings, blackouts, and loss, yet continue to hold on to hope. That hope was visible in the tears, the hugs, and the trembling smiles of soldiers stepping off the buses. For them, home is not just a place, it's the heartbeat of a nation that refused to give up on them. In conclusion, this massive prisoner swap is more than a political maneuver, it's a powerful human story of endurance, negotiation, and compassion amidst chaos. It shows that even in times of brutal conflict, humanity can still shine through. Ukraine has demonstrated its commitment to its people and its moral strength in the face of aggression. Russia, too, has shown it values the lives of its soldiers enough to engage in such exchanges, even if for strategic reasons. But beyond governments and geopolitics, the real story lies in the faces of those 205 people who finally made it home. Their smiles, their tears, and their silence speak louder than any statement.